Tom, Dick and Harry's asleep everywhere. Tell us your stories and teach us to care. Were you there when they took away our sons? Stood in line when they issued them with guns? Were you there in the trench with the rats and the stench, waiting for the whistle to blow? When was over the top, where thousands did drop, and many more found injured on the ground, as each burst shell added to the smell? Were you there? If you were, it was hell. Were you there when they needed a pawn? Had the shell-shock timely shot at dawn? As the colonels lay abed, the innocent lay dead, with a hole in their chest, example to the rest. Were you there? If you were, you would mourn. Were you there in 1915? Did you witness that senseless, bloody scene in old Gallipoli, with bodies in the sea? On the 25th of April, it wasn't very playful, as machine guns did a dance, and you never stood a chance. Did you hear the command, leave your guts on the sand? Were you there? Did you try to understand? Were you there on that Murmansk run, icy seas of the midnight sun, where the ships of the line couldn't dodge every mine, and a speeding tin fish was not a tasty dish, it would blow you to kingdom come? No need for bell or knocker on Davy Jones's locker. Were you there in the cold? Were you numb? Were you there when the bombers dropped their load through the blast as those devils did explode, with children in a row whose limbs would no more grow, and bodies blown to bits in what they termed the Blitz? Were you there? If you were, you would know. Were you there when they built that bridge at Quai, sweating blood beneath that eastern sky? On that Burma railway, where many died each day, on a handful of rice, with the snakes and the lice, and your keepers you'd curse, to the bruises you'd nurse? Were you there? If you were, you'd ask why. Were you there when they dropped that atom bomb? No regards for Harry, Dick or Tom. As that fat boy left the scene, it wiped the surface clean, as the devil left his cage in a fireball rage. Were you there? If you were, 'twas obscene. Were you there in old Iraq, not knowing you'd ever come back? Did your young life they spoil to up the price of oil, as they gilded the floors on the Isle of Azores, with profits to share with the likes of Bush and Blair? Were you there? If you were, who's to care? Were you there on Ireland's shore, kicking at history's door? Did they tell you that someday there'd be a bloody Sunday, with sister and brother killing one another? Yet in spite of all the tussles, it all belongs to Brussels, so what was it really for? Were you there in Afghanistan, fighting the old Taliban? Did they promise you enjoyment whilst creating unemployment, as they closed all the mines to swell their khaki lines, with equipment thin and sloppy, so you defend the poppy, reducing you to zero and calling you a hero with the oldest Bruce in time? Yet who for its carnage is to blame? Can anybody here give a name? At the shells, at the tanks, feed money in the banks, and a million bullets sold, turning lead into gold, as greedy callous eyes watch their profits rise, like the mountains of lies that we're told. Yet still we march off to war, as often we've done so before, Yet who will stand in line beneath that peaceful sign and shout, "No bloody more"? For Tom, Dick, and Harry's asleep everywhere. You told us your stories, now teach us beware.